Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling drained, unsure why? Not because they yelled or insulted you. They were calm, kind, even praising you with what seemed like genuine warmth. Yet, afterward, you feel hollow, uneasy about yourself, and gripped by a vague anxiety. That's not your imagination. It's a sign you've encountered someone with a shadowed soul, cleverly masked by kindness, care, and friendliness. Dark hearts don't always reveal themselves openly. They don't slam doors, shout, or offend outright. Their words are chosen with precision. They say exactly what you want to hear, then slowly seep into your emotions, pulling you down, making you forget your own worth. It might be a colleague who compliments you but quietly undermines your opportunities, or a loved one who claims to cherish you, yet drains your energy bit by bit, day after day. In today's video, we won't dwell on evil in a dramatic or fearful way. Instead, we'll calmly and clearly explore 5 types of people with subtle, harmful intentions. Not to judge, not to become cold, but to understand, more importantly, to learn how to protect yourself, preserving inner peace like a Stoic calm, grounded and unshaken. One type of manipulator disguises themselves as your closest ally. You'll never see them yell or force their will on you harshly. They don't raise their voice, apply overt pressure, or insult you blatantly. They approach with sweet words, warmth, and gestures of false friendship. But if you're observant, you'll notice each interaction leaves you feeling smaller, less confident, and doubting yourself more than the day before. This is the manipulator posing as a friend. They don't control you with power, but with the illusion that you need them to feel valued. Their advice sounds sincere, like, "I think you're so talented, just sometimes a bit too hasty." Maybe it's a lack of experience. They say. Their words seem well-meaning, but after the conversation, you feel inadequate. What makes them dangerous is you don't realize you're being manipulated. They position themselves as your helper, your confidant, the one who cares most. Yet deep down, they plant seeds of self-doubt, just enough to make you reshape yourself to suit their comfort. I once knew someone like this. He'd praise me in meetings, saying I had leadership potential, but in private talks with the boss, he'd hint I was unstable or needed more oversight for consistency. At first, I didn't suspect a thing. I thought his feedback was honest. It wasn't until I was sidelined from key projects that I realized he didn't want me to grow. He wanted me to stay beneath him. He needed me to believe I needed him, when in truth, the opposite was true. With such people, Stoicism teaches us to stay vigilant, not angry. Marcus Aurelius never said to rage against these people. He advised observing them as an outsider, treating them as exercises to sharpen your clarity and calm. Epictetus wrote, "You can't control what others say about you, but you can decide what enters your mind." That's the core lesson. Manipulators don't defeat you with actions, but with subtle suggestions, words, and influences that chip away at your self-belief. Yet, if you hold fast to a clear mind and trust in your own value, their words become like a breeze passing through an open window, noticed but powerless. If someone in your life leaves you questioning yourself after every talk, be cautious. They may not hate you, but they certainly don't want you to outshine them. For a Stoic, the goal isn't to cut them off abruptly, but to create inner distance, Never letting anyone but yourself define your worth. 2. The false friend. These people don't show up with obvious negativity. They don't hurt you directly. In fact, they make you feel like they're your closest confidant. They know how to listen, agree, and cheer you on. But have you noticed, they're only there when you're at your lowest, when you rise, stronger and more confident. They quietly pull back, or worse, turn sarcastic. They love the version of you that's vulnerable, dependent on their emotional support, but never truly celebrate your growth. They act like your safe haven, but the moment you start improving, they drift away. You'll hear them say things like, "Wow, you've changed so much. Not the same person anymore." Huh? As if growing is something to be ashamed of. As if not needing them is a betrayal. They'll toss out jabs disguised as jokes, hitting exactly where you're most sensitive. Like, looking sharp today, trying to relive your glory days. They call it teasing, but you know it's not love. It's something else, not closeness, but mockery wrapped in a smile. I had a friend like that once. She was there every time I was down, comforting, caring, always available. But when I started finding my path, taking care of myself, and learning to say no, she began to pull away. Then came the messages, "You've changed too much. Probably too busy with new friends. Forgot the old ones." I wasn't being cold. I just stopped feeding her emotional dependence. Stoicism doesn't teach us to cut people off loudly. Seneca said it well, "Don't hate the insincere. See them as a test of your clarity and inner strength." If you want a mirror to reflect true kindness, watch how someone treats you when they realize you don't need them anymore. A real friend lifts you up and embraces your growth, not just your struggles. The false friend only values you when you're weak, because that's when they hold emotional power over you. Stoicism reminds us that true connection doesn't diminish you. It doesn't make you doubt yourself or feel guilty for growing. If someone only cherishes the old you, not the person you're becoming, they're not your champion. They just want to keep you where they feel secure. So remember, you don't owe anyone your stagnation. If someone only loves you when you're fragile, that's not friendship. It's dependence dressed as care. As a Stoic, you don't need to make a scene. Quietly step forward, pursuing the path that makes you stronger every day. 3. The controller. Some don't shout, "I want to control you." They don't issue orders or use threats. Instead, they wield something far subtler, your emotions, because they speak in the name of love. It's easy to mistake their control for care. These controllers are often close partners, family, or longtime friends. They don't forbid outright. They suggest. They don't demand. They worry. They say things like, "I'm just not comfortable with you hanging out with them." Or, "You shouldn't wear that at your age, people will talk." Or, "Working so far from home, aren't you worried about being taken advantage of?" It sounds reasonable. It feels like protection. But look closer. They're slowly shrinking your world. Every choice becomes an emotional negotiation. They don't want you independent. They want you reliant on them for security. The danger lies in how they make you feel guilty for things meant just for you. Want time alone, they're hurt. Reconnect with old friends. They turn cold. Decline their request. They quietly withdraw, later sharing how disappointed they are. They don't bind you with chains, they use guilt. I heard a story from a woman. married 20 years. Who felt this? Her husband never yelled or used force, but over time, she lost her friends, gave up hobbies, and stopped doing anything alone. She told me, "He only wants the best for me, but I feel like I'm living in a glass cage." That's what Stoics call a prison built from overprotection. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Freedom isn't just breaking chains. It's refusing to let your mind be swayed by others' emotions. When you adjust your actions to soothe someone else's feelings, you're living their life, not yours. Ask yourself, am I living to keep them calm or to grow as myself?" True love doesn't demand your constant presence. It wants you strong, free, and choosing to return not because you're emotionally bound. Stoicism doesn't preach rebellion, but teaches us to draw clear lines between care and control, connection and confinement. You can stay in the relationship without letting it define you. You can love without losing yourself. As Epictetus said, if something costs your inner peace, no matter its name, it's not worth it. 4. The saboteur. Not everyone attacks with harsh words or overt actions. Some choose a quieter path. They don't confront you directly, nor do they truly champion your success. They're by your side, but often the first to sow doubt. These are long-time friends, close colleagues, or even family. Their sabotage is subtle, cloaked in concern, making it hard to spot. They don't do anything obviously wrong, but notice when you're excited about something, they're the first to highlight risks, failures, or reasons it might not work. You say, "I'm starting a small business." They reply, "The economy's tough now. Most startups fail fast." Think carefully. They urge. You mention learning a new skill, and they say, "At our age, what's the point? Just take it easy." They don't stop you outright, but they plant vague doubts. The challenge is, it's all wrapped in gentle concern. They call it caring. They call it realism. But that honesty doesn't lift you up. It makes you hesitate, question yourself, and sometimes turn back. I knew someone like this. Every time I wanted to try something new, he had advice, never harsh, never loud, just soft, reasonable concern. "I'm just worried for you. That path's full of stress. You're doing fine already. Why make things harder at first?" I valued it, but over time, I saw he only showed up when I was about to grow. Each conversation left me less clear, more doubtful. This quiet sabotage is dangerous because it feels like friendship, sounds like care, and seems like support. That's why it's hard to spot. But if sharing your dreams leaves you feeling smaller, less excited, less confident, it's not care. It's emotional control disguised as realism. It's erosion of your spirit under the guise of honesty. Marcus Aurelius said, "The wise don't need others' approval to do what's right. They only need to stay true to their own nature." That's a profound Stoic truth. Don't let others decide what's right for you, especially those who sow doubt while pretending it's love. If someone always points out what could go wrong, making you hesitate more than act, and doesn't truly stand by you as you grow, step back, not because they're evil, but because they may not be ready to see you shine. Their discomfort, conscious or not, can lead them to want you small. Stoicism doesn't ask you to distrust everyone or cut ties coldly, but it teaches this: a clear mind is your strongest shield. Keep your mind like a polished mirror, reflecting who lifts you up and who pulls you down. Once you see clearly, you don't need to argue, prove, or explain. Just keep moving forward with your strength while they stay behind. 5. The energy drainer. Not everyone harms you with cruel words or obvious actions. Some exhaust you simply by being around. They don't insult, criticize, or control you, but every moment with them leaves you tired, heavy, even guilty for feeling that way without a clear reason. Energy drainers live in constant negativity. There's always something to complain about, a pain to share, an injustice they endure. They don't attack you directly, but they pull you into their emotional abyss. And you don't realize you're sinking until you're already there. At first, you think you're just being a good listener. You empathize, you support, you show up. But over time, you dread seeing their name on your phone. You avoid meetups, and after each talk, you're left sitting in silence, as if you've weathered a storm. They say, "You're the only one I can talk to." You feel guilty, so you stay. They say, "I'm never lucky. No one really cares." You try to comfort them, but they reply, "It's easy to say you wouldn't understand." Eventually, you realize they're not seeking solutions. They don't want to heal. Their pain is their identity. And playing the victim is how they feel seen. They don't want a lifeline, they want an audience. And sadly, that audience is you. Stoicism doesn't teach coldness, but it offers a vital truth. You can't fill someone else's cup when yours is empty. Epictetus said, "A loving soul doesn't carry every burden. It carries what's necessary and lets go of what isn't." You have the right to stop listening to the same story repeated for years, not because you lack compassion, but because you value your mental strength. I had a friend like this once. I gave time, energy, support. I listened, advised, tried everything, but nothing I said made a difference. It wasn't about growth. They just needed me to validate their pain, to confirm their victimhood. One day, I stepped back, not in anger, not by cutting them off, but by quietly creating distance to protect myself, not out of selfishness, but because I knew if I burned out, my presence would become an empty gesture. Remember, you weren't born to carry the world's weight. You're not obligated to be everyone's savior. Love doesn't demand endless sacrifice, and kindness doesn't mean abandoning your boundaries. If someone leaves you drained, pause and ask, am I helping them, or am I chained to their pain? If the answer stings, that's your signal. It's time to step back, reclaim your energy, and set new limits. Because, as Stoicism reminds us, to bring light to others, your inner flame must burn strong first. After recognizing these types, the subtle manipulator, the false friend, the controlling protector, the quiet saboteur, and the energy drainer, you might wonder, what now? Should you cut them off? Avoid them? Confront them? Speak up? Or stay silent? There's no one-size-fits-all answer, but there's a clear path. Respond like a Stoic. Stoicism doesn't demand emotional rigidity or coldness. It teaches intentional response, not being swept into others' emotional games, not letting their negativity change you, and never allowing their toxicity to steal your inner peace. With manipulators, stay watchful. Observe their words like an outsider watching a play. not caught in their web of subtle implications. Ask yourself, am I acting from my values, or am I being quietly swayed by them for false friends? Don't waste energy explaining or fixing the relationship. You don't need to prove you haven't changed or still care. Those truly meant for you will rejoice in your growth. Those who don't will try to guilt you for moving forward. You don't owe apologies for evolving. Just keep walking the path true to who you are. With controllers, stay calm and firm. Don't respond with anger. Say, I appreciate your concern, but this is my decision, and I'll own the outcome. A Stoic doesn't need approval to do what's right, just clarity of mind. With subtle saboteurs, you don't need to expose or accuse them. Simply create distance. When you stop sharing your deepest aspirations, their influence fades. You don't need applause from those waiting for your failure. Focus on your own path, because that's what you control. With energy drainers, remember that kindness doesn't mean exhaustion. You can still care and be present. But with boundaries, learn to say, I need space today. I'll listen when I'm ready. That's not selfishness. It's self-regulation, the cornerstone of Stoic practice. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if someone angers you, ask yourself, am I giving them power over my mind? This is a reminder every Stoic must hold close. When your peace is disturbed by anger, pain, or frustration, pause and ask, am I choosing this reaction, or am I being pulled into it? The ultimate freedom in Stoicism isn't removing toxic people, they'll always exist. It's mastering how you respond to them. You can walk away from a provoking conversation with your calm intact. You can choose not to retaliate, explain, or justify, and still know you've done right. Toxic people only win when they make you lose yourself. A Stoic never lets that happen. If you start noticing these types around you, don't fear them. You don't need to change them. You only need to change how you engage with them, preserving your inner strength. See them as challenges that help you grow, gain clarity, and build self-mastery. Each time you hold your boundaries, choose silence over reaction, or step back with peace, you're closer to inner freedom. Don't waste energy trying to fix toxic people or blame yourself for letting them in. If one lesson stays with you from this video, let it be this: you don't need to defeat them. You just need to ensure they don't drag you down. By choosing peace over reaction and progress over validation, you've already won in the calmest, strongest way. Thank you for watching to the end. If this resonated, please like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs to hear it. Join us for the next Stoic lesson, where we'll remind you that peace isn't found outside. It starts with how you see and respond to the world.